for the hardest-hitting show in talk radio. The true progressive voice since 2012. This is Southpaws.
And welcome to Southpaws on the Pacifica Radio Network. We are the leaders of the revolution. My name is Darren Gibson, and I'm your co-host.
And I'm Katy Steele Baroni, helping out Darren today.
Hey, thank you so much for helping me out again this week, Katy. Really appreciate it.
The pleasure is mine.
Yep. I want to say hello to Jack Prince out there. Hopefully he'll be returning to the show very soon. And we've got a lot of coronavirus stuff to talk about. Some things happened after we finished recording last week's show that have really started to blow up in Michigan. Or at least the anti-mask people are blowing up. So we'll talk about that. We've got a double hammer time segment this week. And for the first time in a long time, we have an off-the-cuff segment. It's an unusual one, so you're going to want to take a listen to this. Before we get started, a couple of reminders that you can follow us on social media by going to facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show. You can follow us on Twitter at Southpaws Radio. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/Southpaws Radio. You can listen to the show anytime you like at Spreaker.com. Do a search for Southpaws there. You can find us at the iTunes store under podcasts. Just do a search for Southpaws, and once you found our logo, you found us. Links to our podcast are sent to our Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com, do a search for Southpaws Radio there to listen, and subscribe pretty much if you want to listen to the shows that way. And you can hear us on great Pacifica stations, including KCEI-FM in Taos, New Mexico, KZGM in Kabul, Missouri, and at Global Community Radio Channel 1. We're on every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Make sure you listen to us there. After we finished recording last week's show, I received a news alert from, I think, Wood TV that Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer ordered mandatory mask wearing if you're in a public space or you're in a crowded outdoor space. That was effective for everybody in the state starting immediately. Well, then there was another part to this that businesses had to enforce starting Monday. Nobody in without a mask. $500 fine if you're caught not wearing a mask. If the businesses don't enforce it, they can be fined. They can have licenses suspended, like their liquor license, their health department license, whatever it takes. And I believe the fines are up to like $7,000 for the businesses. So since then, people have lost their minds. The righties, the Trumpsters, they have absolutely lost it.
I mean, there's mask burning events now. They're
I saw that.
They're burning trash cans full of masks in an attempt to make a point when we're in the middle of a pandemic and there's a mask shortage.
Uh-huh. It's dumb. It's beyond stupid. But what do you expect? Somebody responded, somebody had shared a story on Facebook that having the coronavirus can cause problems with cognitive ability. And the right-winger responded, I don't know what that means,
I saw that
but
post.
I'm still not wearing a mask. It's like, yeah. Oh, my. You can't make this up, folks.
You cannot logic with fools. And,
no.
We're running out of
yeah.
any other methods at this point. I don't know what to do.
Well,
we were hoping they would take care of themselves after they burned all the masks, but
yeah, but apparently not. The problem is that they're going to infect other people that are trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, and if they want businesses to reopen, I don't understand how they think this is the way to do it.
I don't either. Lee DeVito over at the Detroit Metro Times has a great write-up on this here. This was published on July 16th. As the coronavirus continues to burn through the U.S., claiming more than 130, I think we're over 136,000 deaths now. We're over 6,000 in Michigan. he continues that leaders like Governor Gretchen Whitmer are asking people to hashtag mask up to help prevent the spread of the virus. And by the way, you know those electronic signs on the highway that tell you how long it takes to get from one place to another? It switches over where it says, show some RESPECT, mask up.
Oh, nice. I hadn't seen that one yet.
So, yeah, a little nod to Aretha Franklin there. Continuing the story from Lee DeVito, Michiganders have been asked to wear masks in enclosed public spaces since April. Last week, Governor Whitmer signed an executive order that makes mask mandatory both indoors and in crowded outdoor spaces, with businesses ordered to enforce the rule by refusing service to those who aren't wearing them, with few exceptions like serious breathing health concerns. Violators could be fined $500. Now, some businesses have said, if you're not wearing a mask, you're not coming in. We don't care what your problem is. We will accommodate you other ways through curbside service, delivery, whatever. The thing is, these right-wingers are claiming HIPAA. They're claiming the Fourth Amendment, which I don't understand where the Fourth Amendment comes in. Some of them are claiming the 10th Amendment. I don't know where that's coming in.
These are...
They're claiming the Americans with Disabilities Act, even though there are advocates for the ADA that say the ADA has nothing to do with this.
But it starts with the president, obviously. I mean, he picks and chooses which agencies they're going to listen to, which parts of what those agencies say that people are allowed to listen to. You know, they just cherry pick the facts that go with the story that they want to create. And it's every single time in every single situation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're not exempt from the consequences here. So the fact that they can always manage to justify that to the point where they're burying their children and saying, oh, you know, he's a patriot or he's a martyr, or like, no, he's dead and he didn't have to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to continue the story real quick here. DeVito continues, seems like a reasonable enough request, which it is. There is growing evidence that masks are helping to stop the spread and severity of the virus. In past moments of crisis, Americans have been asked to make small sacrifices for the larger good, such as rationing supplies during World War II or being asked to take off their shoes at security checkpoints and airports. Plus, the coronavirus is still nowhere near under control. Though Michigan managed to flatten the curve, COVID-19 cases are seeing an uptick. But because we can't agree on anything these days, people have been absolutely losing their goddamn minds over masks. In Michigan, at least 2 deaths have been linked to altercations stemming from arguments over wearing masks. We told you the story back in May about the security guard at a Dollar General store in Flint, or a dollar store. It was either Dollar Tree or Dollar General. They're all pretty much the same at this point. Security guard asked a teenage girl to wear a mask. Mom spit in the face of the security guard, left, came back 20 minutes later with her husband and his son. The son shot the guard in the head and killed him. Then we have, earlier this week, Shaun Ernest Ruiz, 43 years old, from the, I believe, Grand Ledge, Grand Ledge, sorry. He stabbed a 77-year-old man after they got into an argument in the parking lot of the Quality Dairy Store in Diamonddale, which is pretty much right across from the Michigan State Police Complex. Guy pulled a knife. All this guy wanted Ruiz to do was to put a mask on. So Ruiz pulls a knife and stabs the dude. Cops caught up to him a few minutes later. He charged at him with a knife. Eaton County Sheriff's deputy shot and killed him. It's on tape. You can see it pretty much wherever.
Did you watch the video?
Yes.
Okay, did you see he did charge then? I wasn't sure. I know it said that he approached her with the knife, but I was like, until you see a video, you never know what that actually means.
Yeah, he charged at her. They had it was a security footage from somebody's home in the area, and they released the body cam footage from the officer.
Okay, which they always do that really quick when it seems justified.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, seems like it. Continuing, DeVito says that there are 2 large forces at play. The first one is that there's confusion going all the way to Donald Trump, because Trump has refused to be seen wearing a mask in public. DeVito writes, since Trump's mind is a puzzle to anyone with one, good luck trying to make sense of his own words on the topic, Various explanations have been floated as the reason for his aversion to masks. Trump is a creature of the media and has long downplayed the severity of the crisis, so it could just be that the visual image of people wearing masks simply makes the disaster more real, or could even be perceived as a political statement against his administration's ineptitude. Others have said that masks look weak, as if being strapped into a ventilator in a hospital bed for weeks looks any better. Then there's several county sheriff's offices who said that they will not enforce the mandate. You know, they say if you see somebody, call the Attorney General's office. If it's a business, call my OSHA.
And then the Attorney General says, call the police. It's the same thing that happened when they enforced the quarantine the first time, right? The finger pointing with, you have to call them first. No, you have to call them first.
Yep. But I will give credit to Kalamazoo County. They pretty much have said, if we see you not wearing a mask in public, you're getting a ticket.
Nice. Good to know.
Yeah, so Wayne County, too. Wayne County, somebody posted to Facebook, they saw two people at a gas station parking lot getting $500 tickets for not wearing a mask in the store. That's
the difference between the counties that were affected in that first wave and saw the death and dealt with that, and people that didn't, you know?
Exactly. So he continues that the debate over wearing masks, as much as there is even a debate on the issue, is falling squarely along political fault lines. At a recent meeting in the Michigan legislature, all 8 of the Democratic lawmakers wore masks. Only 1 of 11 Republicans did. Representative Brad Paquette, Republican from Berrien Springs, told the Detroit News he refused to wear a mask simply because Whitmer asked for him to. Quote, I oppose one person making decisions for the state. If I'm not able to be a voice for my constituents, I'll do everything I can to get their voices heard. End of quote. Representative Tyrone Carter, Detroit Democrat, told the newspaper that he thought not wearing a mask was disrespectful, and it makes it seem like lawmakers are above the law. Well, that's the proper narrative to spin on this. I mean, it's crazy.
For me, personally, I feel horrible. I don't want to walk out there and risk hurting anyone, you know, unknowingly. And I guess if there's a part of you that doesn't have that.
Yeah. But it's not just the incident in Diamonddale. I have this story. This is Devin Mayhew writing for WPBN Television in Traverse City. This is dated July 16th. A man accused of threatening a Grand Traverse County Meijer employee over the mask mandate has been formally charged.
Good.
39-year-old Ken Inman of Kalkaska, gee, not a surprise there, was charged with assault with a dangerous weapon Thursday. Investigators said Inman threatened an employee at the Meijer in Acme Township with a knife after he was told to wear a mask while inside the store. Pulled a knife on this employee.
Probably a kid or an older person, usually the most vulnerable.
Yeah. He was arrested Wednesday for the incident. Meijer has banned him from the store. Apparently he's due back in court on August 6th. Yeah. I got a suggestion. Lock him up and throw away the key for about a good 5 years. Because he gets a felony conviction, no more guns for him.
Or we could defund the police and get him the mental health care he truly needs.
Which all the right wingers do.
Exactly. They could use some real help.
But it's also not just Michigan. I have this story. This is Tanasia Kenny writing for the Kansas City Star. A Louisiana man was behind bars Wednesday after he was accused of backing into an off-duty officer who asked him to wear a face covering. Whoa, wrong person to run into with your car.
Yeah. They're the only ones allowed to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's our job, as George Carlin would say. West Monroe police arrested 64-year-old Ricky Taylor outside a Walmart supercenter on Tuesday after police say he became unruly and refused to adhere to the store's face mask policy, according to an arrest report posted online. Taylor apparently began cursing the officer when he was offered a mask and shouted, quote, "You can't make me wear a effing mask. I'm not wearing an effing mask," end of quote.
Famous last words.
An officer informed Taylor he was being put on a trespass notice as requested by the business and was asked to leave. The officer requested his driver's license as he left. Taylor refused, saying, "I could give it to you, but I'm not."
You told him.
Taylor continued to refuse to identify himself till the officer got in his car. That's when authorities say he backed his vehicle up and struck the officer 2 different times as the cop tried to take down his license plate number.
Darn.
The officer was not knocked down, but he did lose his footing. After a brief scuffle, Taylor was taken into custody a short time later. Here's the charges he faces.
Oh, I bet it was really steep, huh?
Resisting an officer, disorderly conduct,
Attempted murder?
and aggravated assault with a motor vehicle upon a police officer.
Oh, that's rough. That's not going to be an easy one.
Nope. He's being held at the Washita Correctional Center. His bond is $750.
Assuming he makes it till trial.
Oh, jeez. Why? Put the mask on. Just wear the mask.
That's the best part, is they're not even making, there's no point to be made. I could give it to you, but I'm not. Like, that was the hill you decided to die on.
Oh, my
I don't
God.
understand.
Yeah.
So many options, and that's what you went with.
Well, it's not just the police getting involved. There's other consequences for people not wearing masks and throwing temper tantrums.
Absolutely.
This is Richard Tribu writing for the Orlando Sentinel. This is dated July 8th. A Florida man not seen wearing a mask in a Costco store, seen in a video posted online shouting at an elderly customer, has been fired from his job.
I love when that happens.
The video posted to Twitter by user Billy Corbin shows the man who has since been identified as Daniel Maples wearing flip-flops and a red T-shirt that reads, "Running the world since 1776.
Oh, if that isn't fitting.
Wow. That
Where
is...
can we get us a couple of those T-shirts, Dan?
Yeah, we need a T-shirt burning party is what we
Right?
need. Oh, my God.
Wow. You can't wear that without a Confederate flag in your hand. You have to be.
It should read, "Being a warmonger since 1776.
Yeah.
The incident occurred at a Fort Myers Costco, and the shouting subject of the incident turns after reportedly being asked why he was not wearing a face covering, which is required at all Costco locations. Corbin posted, the guy that originally got the video, posted this, quote, "This occurred at the Gulf Coast Town Center location on June 27th. One of the customers targeted said, to give Costco the credit, they escorted him out, made me wait inside and monitored him until he left. They then sent someone with me to the car to make sure that I was okay." So that's good on Costco. Yeah. Since the video went viral with more than 10 million views as of Wednesday, the man in the shirt was identified by several media outlets as an insurance salesman for Ted Todd Insurance.
So he's a professional extortionist.
Yep. By the way, the insurance company posted to their own Twitter account that this guy has been fired. Here's what they posted. Quote, "Thank you to everyone for their comments and messages raising awareness about a former employee at Ted Todd Insurance. Their behavior in the video is in direct conflict with our company values and their employment has been terminated." End of quote.
Fabulous.
Then the CEO posted a statement. Quote, "Threatening behavior and intimidation go against our core mission to be trusted advisors in our community. We are also committed to immediately reviewing our internal existing culture at TTI." End of quote. Charlie Todd also wanted further feedback to be sent to their human resources department via email. So
At least they're asking for feedback.
Yeah.
We'll see if they actually take it.
yeah. Well, there's actually somebody that needs feedback really bad. I don't know if they'll get the type of feedback that we're looking for, but in order to continue, we have to play the appropriate music.
Stop! Hammer time!
Oh yeah, it's hammer time. It is time to drop the hammer on the douchebag of the week, and we've got 2 of them for you this week. And every time that we have 2, we also have to play this.
A double douche. Who's that guy? Gentlemen, Wade Garrett. Holy shit. Exactly right.
Yep. Wade Garrett. I love Sam Elliott. What a fantastic actor. Well, the first winner of Hammer Time this week is Carl Nelson, the owner of Pronto Pup in Grand Haven, Michigan.
What a douchebag.
There's no way that this can be real. But then you look at the screenshots and you're like, wow, he really did say that, and he meant it.
And he just kept making it worse. Oh, my goodness.
He did. This is absolutely hilarious. So he made a very lengthy post on Facebook the other day. By the way, he says it was supposed to go to his personal Facebook.
It was accidentally posted on the business account.
Well, we've got the screenshots here. We're going to read this in its entirety. This was posted again to Pronto Pup in Grand Haven. And by the way, we should tell you they are not related to any other Pronto Pup stores anywhere in the country because Pronto Pup is originally from Portland, Oregon. They just sell the batter.
Oh, and I've never known that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. And
Very good to know.
When I did a search for Pronto Pup, I'm like, Portland, Oregon? Why Portland, Oregon? And then it's like, oh, they're the ones that originated it,
so
and they sell the
batter. So if you're
batter.
dying for a Pronto Pup, go to the Grand Rapids food truck Pronto Pups.
Yeah.
Do not go to Grand Haven.
Yeah. So here's what Mr. Nelson wrote here. Have a seat. This is going to hurt a little. Today, after playing phone tag with the Ottawa County Health Department regarding the executive order to wear a mask while working, I discovered some things. In higher education, he said, and hires, not a hire. And higher education does not make you capable of critical thought. It makes you educated, not smarter. Yes, there is a difference. When a rule, order, directive is issued, it has a blanket policy. Period. I am referring to standing over a 395-degree cooker of oil inside an exhaust fan and trying to reason with our book-learning expert over the phone why a mask is irrelevant and useless in this particular case. This is the issue with no real-world experience in working. I think he meant real world. No thought process. The inspector just cited from the current executive order, and he spelled cited wrong.
Yes.
I am told my reasoning was presented to the board, but I hope it's not true. The board is right at the inspector's level intellectually. That scares me. My personal opinion is to have the health department shut me down. This looks better for me in the future lawsuit.
And keep in mind, this was accidentally on the business page.
Yes.
So he meant shut him down as a person, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not as a business.
Yeah. However, as a business owner, I have to look out for the best interest of our coworkers. My hard head would cost them income. Not fair to them. Well, at least he admitted he's got a hard head.
And he knows it's costing him income.
I did present the option to continue maskless and wait for the inevitable Ottawa County Health Department shutdown or to wear the mask.
And the most important part right here coming up.
Majority chose the mask, so here we are. We will remain open until someone claims the color of the building is offensive. White in parentheses.
I do not care about my employees wanting to protect themselves with masks, is what he just said.
If any of you believe this is a health issue, unfriend me, please. This is 100% political. We are witnessing a schoolyard bully fight between the right and left. Period. To think anyone would support these morons destroying our nation's economy is just mind-boggling at best. Don't hit me with the rise in cases. I call bullshit. You test more, you find more. Gee, haven't we heard that before? Donald Trump, maybe? I told them to slow the testing down, please. God. Oh, boy. Let me continue. Yes, COVID-19 is real. The American Journal of Medicine defines coronavirus as the common cold. Fact. No, that's not fact.
That's not a fact at all.
Besides, there is no American Journal of Medicine. There's the Journal of the American Medical Association, so you can't even get that right either. Oh, God. There is so much misinformation out there. Masks work, then they don't. Save them for the front line. Oh, don't even get me started on that attempted glorification and honor robbing of our veterans.
Oh, Jesus.
Sunlight kills it. Just wait for summer. So many smart individuals out there with facts that the mask makes no difference. Problem is, the fucking media controls all we see and hear. And he puts in parentheses, good job, Hitler. Where did Hitler come in on this?
Is Hitler the media, or is Hitler? I think he's referring
to Whitmer?
Yeah,
Governor
but
Whitmer?
she doesn't own the media, so I'm so confused.
No, that would be the DeVos family.
Exactly.
My opinion.
I'm hoping that's who he's referring to when he says Hitler, but I have a feeling he's probably not.
Yeah. Let me continue. If my dad or grandfather were alive today, they would beat the shit out of me for standing by and letting this happen to our state and nation.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, he needs to beat you for being a dumbass. But let me continue here. Freedom's gone that they gave their lives for. But today's kids don't understand what it takes to keep our freedoms. This is why the schools haven't taught civics in decades. I think he meant civics.
Class. Yeah, civics class.
They do not want an informed person that knows their rights. Okay. If you are under 60, your government class taught you the 3 levels of government and how a bill becomes a law. Period. None of that have any of us actually used. Our government has gotten so big and out of control that none of us know how to retake it. I am going to grab a good friend, Jerry, and make 12-foot stencil patterns and paint White Lives Matter down the blocks of Washington Street. Any bets on the outcome? BLM has absolutely nothing to do with racism. It's funded by Soros and the Democratic Party to destroy our economy. It's working. On that note, why isn't that asshat Soros dead? He openly admits this. Give me his address. So this guy just made a threat of physical violence against somebody on social media.
And nobody's even addressed that. I haven't heard anybody say anything about that.
Oh, it gets better. Here's the next part. I believe it will take firepower, period. Gee, that sounds like another threat, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds pretty forceful to me.
That is a shame. People in local, state, and federal positions are fathers, mothers, aunts, and uncles, but they have also neglected their sworn duties to uphold our constitutional rights. By the way, he spelled uphold as 2 words instead of 1. This is why some sheriffs in the state will not enforce the latest order. Good for them. I am curious of the Michigan militia's stand on this act of treason that Michigan's governor is putting us through. Maybe I run for president of the militia.
And off topic, but check out grid.org this week, GRIID, for a great article on the different militias in Michigan and the levels of danger to activists and peaceful protesters.
Yep. Let me continue. In closing my small rant, I don't think it's that small. Something else is, but not his rant. I believe it is time to make a statement that we are not tolerating this overreach of government any longer. Again, overreach, 2 words, and it's actually 1. We as a people need to band together and restart this great nation. There is no such thing as reparations, period. It is time for everyone in the United States to be self-supportive. If you want 7 kids, be sure you can afford them or pay for your own abortion.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to hunt him down and choke him.
Oh, God. No social security number, no check. If you don't pay taxes, why should I support you? Enter the United States legally through the proper channels, and I welcome you, but be ready to support yourself and your family. As if people who have quote-unquote illegally entered this country don't support themselves.
Now that I have all of this generational wealth, it's time for everybody to be self-supportive.
Oh, God. This is just God.
It's infuriating. Awful. It's infuriating. As a single mom who had my first kid at 17, nothing enrages me more than hearing about racist people talk about people with too many kids. They don't say that to white women, no matter how old we are, how many kids we have.
No. The first one that says white privilege gets an ass whooping. My dad never owned your dad. Native Americans killed many white people in the early days of our nation. Not nearly to the extent that white people killed indigenous people here. That is a fact.
It's called self-defense, too.
Yeah, of course it is. Remind me one of these days when we have time. I just want to go on, because I'm starting to watch more Westerns, and I go on absolute rants about how natives were treated.
Oh, as we should. The fact that people don't know still is infuriating.
Yeah. The Trail of Tears.
The things that happened right here, it is so horrible. The names that they've... Louis Campaw, don't get me going on Louis Campaw.
Hell, Leonard Peltier's still in prison. And that's crazy. Oh, you're going to double check that? I'm pretty sure he is, unless he passed.
Okay, so it looks like, yeah, he is still alive. As of 2020, Peltier is one of the longest-serving political prisoners in the world. He has spent 43 years in prison.
And he is in pretty bad health, from what I understand.
Yeah, I can imagine. He was, for anybody that doesn't know, he was convicted of aiding and abetting the murder of 2 FBI agents on June 26, 1975, on Pine Ridge.
Mm-hmm. Let me continue. It's time churches pay their fair share of taxes. Besides, since when does a house of worship need an indoor basketball court, high-tech light show, full-band PA system to worship the Lord? Hey, he ain't wrong there.
No, not at all.
Yeah, broken clock is right twice a day.
That's true.
Unless you're Rick Perry, and then it's only once. Oops. My dad always stated, some of the most religious people in the world have never stepped foot in a church. Then again, some of the most quote-unquote Christian people are some of the biggest judgmental jerks I've ever met in my life. It's the old saying, just because you step in the church doesn't make you a Christian as much as if you stand in a garage doesn't make you a car.
Yep.
You know? It's also time to scale back the police departments. Not defund, but trim the fat.
What does that mean exactly?
Yeah. I don't know.
Let's give them more money.
Yeah. While does the GH Department of Public Safety feel the need for a patrol car to hide in the bushes on Coho Drive and try to catch vehicles that don't stop for the railroad tracks? Yes, I stop. And it'd be while, not why.
Wow.
Continuing. Are you fucking kidding me? That's my tax dollars getting pissed away. Yeah.
Until somebody, until a train hits a car on those tracks and the whole train blows up because of what they're carrying.
Mm-hmm. Start enforcing these assholes with the loud cars, bikes, etc. for the noise ordinance and exhibition driving. And he spelled exhibition wrong.
And those are his people. He's going after bikers? What is wrong with him?
Oh, God. He says, I don't mind a good rumble, but goon out of hand. Not gone out of hand, goon out of hand. This is the best
this
writing
post started
ever.
with him discussing intellect at least twice.
Oh, God. Oh, and call 911 once and see how that process works. I can unload faster than you can get an officer out to your area. And right there's the third online threat of physical violence.
And this is where he gets real bad. Stuff gets real sketchy here.
It sure does. Let me continue. The worst feeling I ever had, they said, trust your gut feeling. I wholeheartedly believe on the Friday that the asshole Jeffrey Willis was on trial for Jessica's murder. She was at my place of business. Wow, that's some real off-the-wall stuff there.
Yeah, especially for someone that hasn't publicly mentioned that before.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about here, several years ago there was a gas station clerk named Jessica Heringa who was abducted and is presumed murdered. They have never found her body. Her killer is spending life in prison without the possibility of parole. He murdered a jogger and attempted to abduct a teenage girl.
A hero.
She got away. Luckily, the farm where it happened had security cameras installed. And if you want to hear more about this, when it happened, when they caught him on security camera, go back into the archives of our former sister show, Women Libs Radio. Raina Cook talked about this because I forget the story if she knows the people that own the farm or if she's related to the people that own the farm.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
I just have to mention real quick, the worst part about him discussing this right now, is that his claim is basically, he says he saw her after she was supposedly already killed, I believe.
Yeah.
She has a child. So what he's saying is that she's faking her death or something and just left her kid. So, I mean, this is a really damaging thing to say about somebody that was a victim.
Yeah. Yeah, he says that she was at my place of business. No one will ever convince me otherwise. As she was standing in front of me, my gut wrenched and I started to shake. Looking back, I should have grabbed my .38 and held the man with her, but instead I called 911. 20 minutes and no officer. Of course, you have to tell your story to 3 different people before they connect you to someone who can dispatch. After a face-to-face meeting with the head of Ottawa County Central Dispatch, he informed they are a model unit and revered throughout the state. After calling back, a GHPDS officer called. Not arrived, but called. GHPDS is the Grand Haven Department of Public Safety. Informing me if it was her, she is only guilty of a runaway or missing person. Unfucking believable. Friends in the know tell me that are absolute it wasn't her based on the evidence that was never released to the public. Not convinced. I do regret not getting a hold of either side's counsel. And he spelled counsel wrong. It's here that I best stop. Sorry if I offended any of you, but dig up some facts. As he goes on conspiracy theories about murdered women showing up at his place of business with somebody else.
Yeah, because she chose to just leave her child behind.
Where does the crazy stop with these people? That's what I'd like to know.
They just keep being empowered, so it doesn't, and that's the scary part. When I read the stories online, all I was seeing were, I'm pretty sure the news outlets were actually deleting negative comments because there was hundreds of positive comments and not a single negative. That's not even possible. So it's scary that they keep being empowered because it makes them crazier.
So, yeah, that's our first winner of this week's award is Mr. Nelson. As a matter of fact, the Muskegon Chronicle caught up to him. This is Anya Van Wagdendonk writing for MLive. This is out of Grand Haven. It's dated July 14th. The owner of popular boardwalk business Pronto Pup ranted against the coronavirus pandemic's effect on his food stand in a rambling post on social media posted seemingly by accident to his business's Facebook page Monday evening. This just goes on. A follow-up post claimed that the owner, Carl Nelson, intended the post for his personal page. The business's entire Facebook page disappeared later Monday night before reappearing with a third post, this time apologizing. Nelson declined comment when reached by MLive Tuesday morning. Well, I wonder why.
He couldn't talk with his foot shoved that far down his throat.
I guess. He must love the taste of leather or something. I don't know.
Grand Haven's an interesting city.
The follow-up post, which was posted at 9:18 p.m. Monday evening, said this, quote, there was a post meant for the owner's personal account that was accidentally posted to this page tonight. We have removed it as it was not intended to be a Pronto Pup post. This post was in no way representative of Pronto Pup as a business or our staff members. We are not sure how to make this right at the moment, but we will try to figure it out. We are truly sorry for any hurt or offense this has caused. End of quote. 2 hours later, after the page had been deactivated, it reappeared with a new note from Nelson. At 11:32 p.m., he wrote, quote, as the deterioration of our nation and freedoms as we have enjoyed over the decades begin to dwindle away, I snapped. My sincere apologies to anyone that may have seen the post. End of quote. He asked readers not to blame his staff for his message and rejected assertions that his diatribe was racist. In response, I'm skipping a little bit. In response, other area businesses that sell deep-fried hot dogs on sticks distanced themselves from the Grand Haven food stand. Pronto Pup food truck based in Comstock Park wrote this on their Facebook page. Quote, just as a friendly reminder, we want to make sure everyone knows we are in no way affiliated with any other Pronto Pup restaurant or food truck. End of quote.
I love it. I love it. You know, and his first retraction makes me think they were a little bit concerned about Pronto Pups themselves cutting off their relationship. because that's not looking good on a national brand if they've got a lot of other stores.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to email someone, that's the one.
For those of you that don't know what a Pronto Pup is, it's just a corn dog. Well, not really. Corn dogs use cornmeal. Pronto Pups use pancake batter. It's a recipe based out of Portland, Oregon, as we mentioned at the beginning. Carl Nelson has owned the stand with his wife, Nancy. The place is tiny, 63 square feet.
Yes, it's not even possible to social distance in there as far as, with all the equipment. There's really no way.
And apparently from some things that I've seen on social media, people are going there. The anti-maskers are showing up.
Lining up in hundreds.
No social distancing, no masks, no whatever. In the meantime, his regulars that don't believe the things that he spewed on social media are staying far away from him. But he's not the only one. I have this story. This is Luke Kenton writing for the Daily Mail. This is dated July 12th. A New Hampshire radio host has been fired after filming herself harassing a group of Hispanic landscaping workers in a racist tirade sparked after she heard them speaking in Spanish. Diana Ploss, a former host for WSMN Radio, had been on her way into the studio in downtown Nashua on July 10th when she happened upon a group of laborers working along the roadside. Ploss apparently became incensed when she heard a Caucasian worker from Morin's Landscaping speaking Spanish to his Hispanic colleagues. In the video, she repeats several times, quote, "Are you speaking English? It is America. English, English, English." End of quote. And it gets worse from there. In a bizarre attempt to justify her demands, Ploss tells workers, quote, "You work for the state. You should be speaking in English." End of quote. When the workers reply they in fact work for a private company and not the state, Ploss remained undeterred. Quote, "Is anyone here illegal? It is America. Speak English." End of quote. Ploss, an avid Trump supporter, big surprise there, right?
Shocking.
Then launches into a perplexing and paranoid monologue about communism. Quote, "So they have these people out here who don't speak English who are putting in this stuff that taxpayers are paying for, and look what they're doing. This is communism. This is communism. They're taking over these streets." End of quote. Wow.
Says woman with absolutely no desire to do any of their jobs.
No. But, Katie, it's communism. It's communism. Yeah. But then she continues. Amid the commotion caused by Ploss's soliloquy, an African-American man is seen approaching her from the other side of the road, asking her, "Why are you harassing these people?" She asked the bystander, quote, "Are they in America?" End of quote. He replied, "Yes." She then adds, quote, "Then they should be speaking English." End of quote. When the man asks her on what basis the workers are legally required to speak English, she offers no further explanation, simply responding, quote, "They should be speaking English." End
America,
of quote.
she said. America.
Mm-hmm. When the bystander continues to question her point of view, Ploss says, quote, "Why do you care? I wasn't talking to you." End of quote.
Because they were totally talking to her in Spanish, right?
Oh, God. The talk show host then tells the man that she has the right to harass the workers before asking the man, quote, "Why are you wearing a face mask?" End of quote.
Oh, my.
When the man pointed out that there's a global pandemic going on, her reply is, quote, "Oh, okay, so this guy's coming over here to be a social justice warrior."
Oh, commie social justice warrior.
Because he's a black man. He's going to protect the brown man from this white woman who is practicing white privilege because she happened to walk by and heard this guy talking to all these guys in Spanish. End of quote.
Bingo.
By the way, in 2018, she was the press secretary for anti-LGBTQ campaigner Scott Lively.
Oh, of course.
In a later post, she insisted that she was not backing down. In another post, she wrote, quote, "Good morning, patriots. So if you want people in America to speak English, that makes you a racist." End of quote.
Yes, it does.
A petition to have her and her show removed from the airwaves of WSMN radio garnered over 6,500 signatures. The station fired her.
Yay.
So.
Bye, Felicia.
I love it. Oh, my God. So, to Diana Ploss for her racist and just god-awful rhetoric, and to Carl Nelson at Pronto Pup in Grand Haven, Michigan, we've got this message for you.
Don't be a douchebag!
Yeah, that's right. You both need to stop being douchebags. You need to stop listening to Fox Propaganda Channel before you die from listening to them. Because they will kill you.
And ruin your business.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're ruining their own business. But here's what I mean. This is a story. Natalie Moore wrote this for NPR Radio. This is an older article. It's dated May 4th, but there's some good nuggets of information in this. An April study about the effects of coronavirus media coverage analyzed two popular Fox propaganda cable programs and claims how one host talked about the threat of the coronavirus resulted in greater numbers of COVID-19 cases and deaths. Researchers at the Becker-Friedman Institute for Economics at the University of Chicago took a deep dive into those implications in the working paper, Misinformation During a Pandemic. They examined the audience that watched Hannity versus Tucker Carlson tonight. Tucker Carlson was a little more serious about the coronavirus. You need to mask up. You need to social distance. Where Hannity was like, oh, it's a hoax, blah, 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 blah. The paper says viewership of Hannity relative to Carlson is associated with approximately 30% more COVID-19 cases by March 14th, 21% more COVID-19 deaths by March 28th.
Wow, that's huge.
At the time that this article was written, they said that the paper said that the effects might fade over time. So who knows? But isn't that something?
Wow.
If you watch Hannity, you're 30% more likely to get the corona.
And that says a lot about, our media as a whole and how it's going to affect us. So check your facts, people, no matter who you're watching, every time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Including us.
Mm-hmm. Everybody. We are not above criticism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, we had mentioned the governor of Michigan mandating masks, but there's some other things that didn't happen this week. There has been a moratorium on evictions in Michigan. That ended Wednesday.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen?
I'm really worried. I'll tell you what. I went through the executive order that she just released after the moratorium ended. She's replacing it with an eviction assistance program.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that is going to be distributed through the Michigan Developers Association. So basically, she's giving the funds to the housing agencies. She is really, really basically suggesting that landlords don't evict based on COVID-19 non-payments. But her executive order actually goes through and discusses how non-COVID-19 rental payments that have to be paid in cash by the tenants. But apparently the landlord, I think, can apply for these assistance programs through the housing agencies and maybe get help. But it all comes down to how much money the person makes. You're going to have to basically apply and qualify for these funds.
And whether this money is going to be available too.
And it's not very much money. I think she said it was $50,000 altogether.
Well, actually, I've got the story here. This is Riley Began writing for Bridge Magazine, dated July 15th. Michigan's evictions ban expired Wednesday night, prompting concern among housing advocates that a rushed handoff to an aid program may leave many without help. Governor Gretchen Whitmer in late March issued an executive order to protect renters from being removed from their homes amid the coronavirus pandemic. She's extended the order multiple times, but it's expiring and will be replaced by an eviction diversion program to pay rental debts and provide legal help for low and middle income households that have been affected by COVID-19. State officials have been preparing frantically to make the assistance program available beginning Thursday. That is according to State Court Administrator Tom Boyd. Housing advocates say the funding for the effort, $60 million of federal coronavirus relief money, won't be available to organizations responsible for allocating it until early August, 2 weeks after courts can resume eviction proceedings.
Yeah.
So while they're waiting on the money...
She has only allocated, I think, $50,000 right now while she's waiting on the millions that we're going to need for this program. And the unemployment agency right now, as you all probably know, because you know somebody that's applied and hasn't gotten it and can't get a hold or is, dealing with the fraud department, that may have been a much more efficient way to keep people in their homes is by making sure the unemployment office works. But instead we're doing this, and it seems to me that what we want ultimately is a whole lot of evictions and a whole lot of help for developers, and that makes me really sad.
Yeah. Michigan officials have warned of a backlog of as many as 75,000 evictions statewide after the moratorium ends. Statewide, thousands of people had eviction cases pending before courts when they shut down in mid-March due to the virus. That includes about 2,600 households in Detroit alone who received eviction judgments in February and the first half of March. 463 notices of eviction, 99 pending orders of eviction, and at least 720 cases that had not yet been adjudicated when the courts closed. So this just gets better. Ted Phillips, executive director of the United Community Housing Coalition, which is a nonprofit housing advocacy group in Detroit, said that he fears tenants will go without financial help if eviction cases resume Thursday and money for help isn't yet available. He said this, quote, "All of those things are a good indication that there's a strong potential for a lot of people to be evicted once the moratorium is lifted," end of quote. Kelly Rose, the Chief Housing Solutions Officer for the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, told Bridge that renters can access the aid program Thursday and processing applications should take a week or two. These people don't have a week or two.
No, it's
That's
a 30
the thing.
day. As soon as it's filed, you've got 30 days till you have to be out of your house. So they've got to wait just to get their application in.
Yeah. This program should have been started when the moratorium was still in effect so that people could
Here's
get
the
ahead
worst
of it.
part. Here's the worst part, Darren. The executive order itself was signed June 26, describing the eviction diversion program. So she's known this for 3 weeks and didn't tell us.
Yes. Tiffany Brown, spokesperson for the governor, said she couldn't say whether Whitmer will extend the moratorium. Quote, "But residents are encouraged to learn more about the program, the assistance program." End
Because
of quote.
we totally have time to do that while we're not studying for how to get through to the unemployment office.
And in the meantime, there's still people that are out of work.
Yeah. My landlord personally, when I called him the week that COVID happened and I was out of work and told him what was going on, he questioned me over and over and over. He did not believe that the unemployment office wasn't answering. He was very not understanding. And I've never been late on rent, so I can't imagine what other people are going through.
Yeah. One more thing about the coronavirus before we move on here. A study came out from True People Search Insights. They studied all 50 states and graded them on their COVID-19 response. You want to know who the only state was to score an A?
Michigan.
Bingo. Oh, but that woman from Michigan,
I know.
she's the one that's caused all the problems. She's the one that, our freedom, MAGA. There's what I think of your freedoms. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
There is plenty to criticize our governor on, but let's not criticize her on the one common sense thing that we really needed her to do. Let's be logical.
The top 5 states, Michigan, New Mexico, Vermont, Illinois, Kentucky. Only 7 states received a grade of B or higher. Illinois was the other. New Hampshire was the other. 5 states with the worst response: Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, South Carolina, Florida. Gee, all Republican-run states in the South, or as former co-host Jim Gurner used to call them, the slave states. Because that's pretty much what they are.
And if you want, yeah, that's true.
Oh, boy. And we've got a couple stories that we didn't have a chance to get to before we get into our off-the-cuff segment. You wanted to say something about Trump. Oh, the CDC thing. This should scare the hell out of you folks.
It needs to scare you. You need to think really hard about how this can go.
Yeah. Trump has now ordered the states to send their coronavirus data, new cases, deaths, etc., directly to Washington, D.C. Don't send them to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta.
Yeah, this could go wrong in so many different ways.
Yep. This is dictatorship, folks. Mm-hmm. We're already there.
But here's the thing I need you to look out for. A lot of people are thinking, okay, Trump, he doesn't want people to think coronavirus is real, so he's going to pretend the numbers are going down, right? Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of people are expecting.
Yep.
I'm worried about the opposite. I think that he will play up the fear. I think his narcissism and his fear of losing the election is going to make him go the other direction. And he's going to play these numbers up and eventually try to do a federal lockdown instead of having the states do it, especially if he can do that before the election, if he thinks he's going to lose. So that's something we should really be paying attention for.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because a couple of stories that we don't have time to get to, they are posted on our official Facebook page. If you go to facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show, there is an article from Khalida Rahman writing for Newsweek. Listen to here's the headline, folks. Portland federal agents bundle protester into a van in a viral video.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen this yet.
No Miranda, no nothing.
That is terrifying.
Yep. Portland, Oregon, Trump sent the feds there because the state wasn't getting control of the protesters.
Oh, my gosh.
And meanwhile, the mayor of Portland is saying, we don't need your help. We've got this.
This is Nazi America.
It certainly is. One more story that we're not going to have a chance to get to. Westwood One has announced that due to the coronavirus and lack of funds, they are closing their news division. Nearly 1,000 stations carry Westwood One News.
Oh, no.
So now they're going to have to either take the Associated Press Radio News or find somebody else, CBS. I'm worried that a lot of stations are going to go with Fox Radio.
Oh, my gosh.
Fox Propaganda Radio.
This is what's happening. They're tailoring down our press. These are not good signs, friends.
Mm-hmm. Before we go, we have our off-the-cuff segment. This is from KATU Television. This is dated July 13th. Out of Missoula, Montana, this was originally reported by KECI Television. A woman sustained minor injuries Saturday morning when she collided with a young grizzly bear on Huckleberry Lookout Trail at Glacier Nation Park in Montana.
Ooh,
the collision occurred 4 miles down Huckleberry Lookout Trail. The woman was the lead runner with two people in the group when she collided with the bear.
Stop it right now.
The woman and the bear tumbled off the trail together, and once they separated, the bear reportedly ran off.
Oh, gosh, I need to meet this lady.
The woman reported the incident to park officials at 9 a.m. She was self-transported to Kalispell Regional Medical Center for further treatment and evaluation.
So she didn't just win the race, she beat the bear.
She beat the bear. She ran into the bear. Rangers have concluded that the surprise encounter was an isolated incident. No other bear encounters have been reported. Rangers have posted the trail with warnings about bears. I don't know. Maybe Yogi was looking for his picnic baskets. Hey, boo-boo. Oh, God.
That's great.
Oh, we had to end on a lighter note because of all the stuff that we've had to talk about today. I think I lost about 10 IQ points reading the Pronto Pop Pulse.
Yeah, Mr. Nelson, he's a piece of work.
Oh, God, or something else. All right, we're out of time for this week. We'll be back next week. I'm Darren Gibson.
I'm Katy Steele Baroni. We miss you, Jack.
Yes, for Jack Prince and Kristen Cook, please support independent media.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment. All rights reserved.